All right. Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the Fandom Collective. This is another one of Rookie's first time watching some films. This one was Buckaroo Banzai. That was recommended to me a long time ago by Jeff the Iron Wolf. And then once again by Mara Jade. That's why I was like, okay, another one for Buckaroo over here. I might as well give that a shot. In my head, it sounded like it was going to be a TV show of some kind, like a old Lost in Space or something. But did they make it a TV show also?
Well, Buckaroo Banzai? No, I don't think so.
Okay,
It's been a long time since I've watched it.
I could see it turning into one, but I was a little confused watching it at first, because I was thinking that Jeff Goldblum was going to be Buckaroo for a sec, and then he's not, and then I'm like, wait, huh? And then I guess I might have just missed a few parts, but as somebody who watched the show for a long time, I suppose you want to tell everybody what Buckaroo is about, essentially. like a quick rundown for those who aren't as familiar with Buckaroo. What is Buckaroo? Yeah.
The problem is I haven't seen it in a while, so it's still somewhat fuzzy, but it's just the simple fact of let's see how much crazy crap we can throw at the wall and see what sticks is about the best way I can explain it.
That's a pretty good description. It's got Jeff Goldblum, Christopher Lloyd.
It's kind of got the who's who of the 70s and the 80s doing a B-rated flick just for craps and giggles.
Yeah, it's interesting. Interesting to put it that way. I just it just seems so crazy as a little thing. So Buckaroo he had a job of some kind, and that wasn't enough, and so he wanted to be a physicist.
Yeah.
And then he's in a little go-kart, and then he breaks the sound barrier.
It's just one of those things where it's just the more he does, the more it just gets crazier and crazier. The movie just lives to be nuts.
Yeah, and it seems to put him in that hero figure, good going, Buckaroo. Oh, Buckaroo, look out behind you! It's like a superhero thing of some kind, where it's like a super popular person's around, and it's oh gosh, thank you, Buckaroo.
Yeah. Plus, you've got an alien plot, you've got a physics plot, you've got chance going through different dimensions. Like I said, it's kind of like the science fiction of let's see how much crap we can throw at a wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, they're like, okay, let's have him drive through a mountain. He's going to go off course that they planned out scientifically and everything, but he breaks down, and then he goes right through a mountain, and it's like, oh no, and he comes out the other side and picked up a couple of life forms along the way under his car and everything, and it's like, oh crap, that's how you can go to another living dimension that's in the same plane as Earth, basically the 8th dimension. And it's just insane with what they try to do there.
I'm gonna break some people's heart. The movie isn't all that good. It's just completely over the top and just so pop culture that it just oozes it. That's why it's such a cult classic.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, because I can't say that I enjoyed it, but I can tell what it's about, what it is from. It's a pop culture piece. It's a, look at this movie, and it's just that's how people.
This is pop culture. There's no other way to explain it.
Yeah, and it's kind of meta in its own way with pop culture, with Buckaroo being the famous person and everything. They're like, let's see him there, and he's got a comic book, and the aliens want to go find him as well, and. I guess
it's one of those movies where you're just sitting there. You either have one of three reactions. This is so dumb. This is so dumb it's funny. And oh my god, I love this. And I've never found an in-between.
Yeah, it's just insane is the word I would use, I guess, for it. I was confused too. So there's aliens in this 8th dimension that one faction of the aliens wants to invade Earth, the other doesn't, but will destroy Earth if they don't stop the aliens that want to go back home.
Yeah, this is mindy bendy stuff where Yeah, it sounds to try all important, but at the same time, just sounds so stupid.
Yeah, like when you talked about it a long time ago, I remember like around when we first met in a way, you were talking about, yeah, I was watching Buckaroo Banzai from the eighth dimension. And that was all the information you said about it. And I was like, oh, that's eighth dimension. It's a, it sounds like a Flash Gordon-y thing or something. And he's going to be a hero.
You could definitely tell that's where they draw a lot of inspirations, like Buck Gordon, Flash Gordon, all the pulpy pop stuff.
Yeah, and Christopher Lloyd being like one of the aliens. All the aliens are named John Blank, like John insert something, John Big Booty. Like,
yeah,
it's literally a name.
One of those ones that it takes itself seriously enough to get the plot across, but doesn't take itself too seriously to the point of like, oh my god, how can this movie be serious?
Yeah, it's like I think it is funny because in some in like the dialogue, they're like, "Hey, John Big Booty. Hey, John whatever. John whatever." Like it's just like a good way to go. Oh, they're talking to the aliens, and they didn't.
Well, it's just like Hitchhiker's. I think they took that part from Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy because one of the main characters is named Ford Prefect, which is the name of a car.
I haven't seen that movie, so I have no idea about that.
Well, there's another one that you can check out, Rookie. And you think this is zany? You ain't seen nothing yet. But it's got enough people who are like, oh, I know that person. Oh, I know that person. I know that person. Wow, this is really crazy.
Yeah, that could help be a little bit of a draw there, I would think. Man, so like, yeah, I don't have much to say on it, I guess. It's like just a weird little movie. Little aliens are in there. He gets that. So they're doing a conference trying to talk about what they found in the eighth dimension. And they're all talking. I guess they're, people are going, oh no, could we possibly have a war with those people? I guess it's a decent question to ask. If they find other life forms, why not? They want to fight us, or do they want to have peace, or just be left alone, whatever. And he gets a phone call. They're like, it's from the president. President of what? Of the United States. Oh crap. Okay, let's go. See what
it's just so over the top. Like, my reaction was, oh my god, this is so stupid, but at least some of it's funny.
Yes, it looks like it's a low-budget indie film that people ended up finding on accident and went, hey, this is weird, but I kind of like it. And then
pretty much.
It got passed around by word of mouth.
Tell this is a B-tier movie. You can tell it's low budget.
Yeah, it's not one that everybody recommends that I see, but it does get thrown in there on recommended lists for classic films. Like it will be snuck in there, like Citizen Kane, Casablanca, whatever, blah 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 blah, Buckaroo Banzai, and like another continue down the list. And
like, huh? This is like at the same tier of Ash the Evil Dead movies,
Yeah, in its own way, though I think those are like more well-rounded in what they're trying to do, I suppose, but. This one is like, if his point is to ooze out other things, it would be interesting to see if they were to make a sequel, because based on the ending and all their little outfits, I'm like, I don't even know. Like, what?
But the thing is, it has more of a pop culture, like, for example, Ready Player One, the main character, Z, when he meets the girl in the club, is wearing a Buckaroo Banzai outfit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, if you want nerd cred, you have watched something as obscure as Buckaroo Banzai.
I suppose so. Well, I got my nerd card then a little bit. It's getting there.
You got some nerd cred.
I'm getting that filled out now. Getting my film cred as well as I go along the way here. And so then he gets the call from the president, which isn't the president, it's the aliens. And what are the aliens called again?
Oh god, like I said, it's been so long since I've sat down and watched Buckaroo. I'm fuzzy at best on it.
Like it sounded, he's like the Zemians or something. I have no idea what he said. Like I was like, huh?
It's one of those names where unless you're like really into the movie, it's just like, okay, some generic alien sounding name, but you'll never remember it.
Yeah, it's like technically it's not even important to know what the name of their race is.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't even, it's not even really a factor. It's just part of what they're doing. And then
this movie is more of a pop culture icon than it is an actual movie to sit there and dissect. This part was great. This part was kind of like, it was just a mess.
Yeah, it's interesting as I'm going through these films to try to figure out what to talk about exactly with some of them, because I get more conversation out of some than others so far. And like out of this one, like the only bit that I can comment on is like, other than how crazy it is like with the president scene here. So it's the aliens pretend to be the president. They somehow like call as if they're from the president's phone number, or they just called and said, "We're the president. Put Buckaroo online." Or something. Like, okay, it's kind of funny. And then he's on the phone. The aliens don't say anything, and then Buckaroo gets zapped in the ear with like electricity from the phone, and he's like spazzing out for a sec, and everybody's like, whoa, 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 wow. Then he's like, the aliens, don't you see him? Blah, blah, blah. He's like crazy all of a sudden, and he has the power to see the disguised aliens because they're already on Earth among us, but people can't see them. Or something, and they're already disguised.
It's a trope that's been done 100 times. It's just, like I said, completely over the top and over dramatic and hysterical.
Yeah, it is, but it's like, why did he get zapped? Was that the good aliens that called him, or not? Like, because I didn't really get why that made him be able to see the aliens.
Like I said, I don't know. Like I said, it's just one of those movies that the first time I ever saw it, I was a little kid, and the opening sequence where he goes to the mountain where it's all trippy and all that, I was just a little kid going, whoa.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't really think about it like that, because I'm just like, I guess I know what you're doing, but I don't really see, like, in my mind, I'm thinking, like, what is the point of that? I guess, and then it's like, oh, look, because of the life form. Okay.
Rookie.
And like,
Rookie.
yeah, I know. But yeah, if I were to go back to being flashy in that time was probably like more fun as a viewer.
This movie lives by the rule of cool.
Yes.
If they think it looks cool, they're gonna do it.
Yeah, I suppose. Also kind of weird, like when they get the girl, they strap her down really weird with like a weird little freaking furball thing to either climb down her cooch or her mouth. I don't know, like what.
Yeah, man.
Like, I was like, what is this for?
It's just like, what's creepy and what's cool? Let's do that.
It's like I understand. I'm like, do they take hosts as bodies, or do they like, are they just humanoid alien creatures, or like
honestly, I couldn't tell you at the best of times, because even I was confused on that point.
Like, do they grow inside you and change your anatomy?
Like I said, Rookie, I don't remember. I don't know.
Well, no, I know you don't. I'm just saying it out loud because that's what I'm thinking when I'm watching this. I'm like, oh, there's this, that, and this. None of that gets answered. It's just like, well, I guess I'm going to wonder about that. That's all.
Yeah, like I said, it's more of, hey, we're geeks. We have seen this absolutely obscure movie that is just so stupid it's funny. Have you watched it? Cool, you're a geek like me.
Do you wish they made more Buckaroo stuff after that?
No, like I said, it was funny, it was zany, but it definitely wasn't my entire cup of tea. But what can you say? It was the 80s. We got really good science fiction like Ghostbusters, Star Trek, Star Wars, at least the last movie. And then you got crazy shit like this.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so this was like in the 80s, right?
Yeah, I think so. So your late 70s. I think it was the 80s, just based on Christopher Lloyd, how old Christopher Lloyd is. I think it's like early 80s. Hold on, let me look right quick.
Yeah. I want to say 86 or something, I think it was. I think
1984. So yeah, it was the 80s.
84. That makes sense. Christopher Lloyd, man, it's gonna suck when he dies.
Yeah, it's just one of those movies that experimented on. Let's see what crazy stuff we can do this time. I mean, you look through science fiction movies of the 80s. Like I said, they come in two varieties: the big budget blockbuster, which the 70s proved could happen, like Star Trek, Predator, Aliens. You know, the list goes on. And then you've got the more obscure, like Buckaroo Banzai.
Yeah, but do those other ones have a Jamaican alien?
You got me there.
that was funny. I'm like, what? Like he's like, I'm an alien man. Like, it's like, okay, that's new, I guess. I haven't seen that before. That's first time. Nowadays, oh my god, they'll never do that. So that's
no, Buckaroo Banzai is definitely a movie that could not be made today. Though that's most sci-fi movies of the 80s. Today, they just could not be made.
But unfortunately, it feels like those are the type of movies that a lot of people that have, that are just starting to learn about film or don't have much of a budget, like that they would be making movies like this. And I kind of wish there was more to show of that in a way, like of the.
Honestly, I would love to see more indie films like this at like Cannes, where they just go completely off the wall crazy instead of like this just generic shit you see out of Cannes all the time.
Yeah, well, just because I feel like you could pull a lot out of it, like with how crazy Buckaroo Banzai is. There is some good ideas in there, and if you had the idea of breaking dimensions, like you skipped all the way to the 8th dimension. What about the other dimensions, or
what happened to 4, 5, 6, and 7?
And I guess I don't know. I don't know if this made sense to you or if I missed something. Like they had an alien ship in orbit of Earth, but like, is that in the orbit of our Earth, of our dimension, or of their dimension?
When like I couldn't tell you, Rookie. I mean, this is one of those times where because they've broken so many different dimensions, it's like I don't know what's going on. I'm just kind of here.
Well, it just makes me think like when they talk about other dimension stuff and it's not parallel universe stuff, because there's supposed to be a difference, right? Like there's a difference between a parallel universe and a different dimension, right?
Well, it's kind of like in Dungeons and Dragons where you have our realm, the shadow realm, the ethereal realm. They all march along the same, march along at the same time. They're just in different dimensions.
Well, right, but I mean, so like if in our dimension Earth got destroyed, would theirs also be destroyed, or would it not be? I mean, it's on the different plane, but it's in the same spot. Like,
I think it would be, but again, we're talking about different levels of dimensions and stuff like that. I don't know if it's an alternate universe or all in the same universe, just at different layers of the universe. I mean, when you start talking this level of science fiction, the mind can go anywhere.
Well, because in a way, the science fiction is usually a derivative of some kind of scientific at least theory, type of science theory. I would assume, like with multi universes or parallel dimensions or something. It's like, are they like, what is the differentiating factor of that? Are they implying that it's just on Earth there is the different dimension, or the different dimension throughout the whole universe? Like if I were an invading ship,
I couldn't tell you, Rookie. I don't know. That's a little over my head.
Like, the Bermuda Triangle be the point of the mixing of the dimensions or something. It's like,
Rookie, you're asking questions I cannot answer.
I know. I'm just putting them out there for fun with it, because it's like those are interesting ideas to explore. Buckaroo Banzai went crazy. I can go crazy. I can try to, do it a little differently there.
Yeah,
make it make some type of sense.
Questions I cannot answer.
Well, I guess that kind of is interesting. So, like, have you seen any of the latest Marvel stuff?
It depends on what do you mean.
Like Loki.
The only thing I watched was an episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Was bored to tears, turned it off, and I haven't watched any of the Marvel stuff. So no, I haven't watched Loki.
Yeah, neither have I. I haven't watched a Marvel property since Endgame, really.
I tried an episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier just because I like both the characters of Falcon and Winter Soldier, but it was dumb.
Yeah, you don't want to see them get dragged through the mud. It's not worth it.
Nope,
not at all. But I guess I was going with that. I've heard from people, of course, talking and whatnot. I don't care if they spoiled it for me, but basically they have like Loki gets taken to a place outside of time and space.
Yeah, I know about the story, and there's actually infinite Earths, and the guy that they meet is a guy who basically figured out the different universes and kind of separated them all. So there's just the one prime, and everybody else is kind of off their own thing. But now they've shattered that veil, for lack of a better term, and now the universes are back.
Well, no. So like the way they described it in the history way was that there were multiple universes, but then they all went at war with each other to try to. I'm just like, you went at war with other universes. What is that? Or like other timeline, not just other universes, like other timeline universes. Like, what is that? What do you mean? Like to do what? Like our one universe has
each other, to take each other over, to be the
well,
it's like two different empires on Earth.
well, no, like I would agree. I would agree, but it's like there's so much in one universe anyway, like to explore or exploit or have use of. Like, what is even taking over another universe? Like,
Rookie, it's always the fact of more land. When you have your own universe, it's finite, but suddenly you've got infinite other universes that are now infinite. You're basically just jumping up the curve of infinity.
yeah, I guess, but like, I don't know. I just don't see. It's like, oh, we're all battling. Just all. Because, like, the point being, because looks like my point being, it like in one solar system, like there's a bunch of planets, there's a bunch of stars in the galaxies, a bunch of galaxies. Like, like I'm sure, like before, like it would be easier for like the empires, for example, to exploit what you have already because you haven't even reached the majority of them at all to even touch them in your own space, your own universe.
Rookie,
Like going to a whole nother one is more complicated because there's more resistance. Like why would that be a thing? It's ridiculous.
For people like us, no, we haven't even gone past our own solar system. For people like Thanos, they've conquered entire galaxies.
Well, I know, and there's like hundreds more he hasn't conquered, essentially.
Not really. There's only so many galaxies in the universe.
But like that's a lot of galaxies. That's kind of the point, I guess. It's like
Ricky,
I don't know.
People who are power hungry, what do they always want? More.
Yeah, but if they don't even have everything they think they have, I just don't see the point of trying to get more. Like if I just like landed on Earth and I only conquered like Hawaii, and then I'm like, oh, there's a whole nother planet. Oh, let me go get that. It's like, yeah, I get it, but you didn't conquer Earth or nothing. Like you conquered Hawaii, but now you're gonna go try to conquer Mars or some other planet with life. It's like, well, you just made it. You haven't done anything else other than I just kind of dipped here.
You're trying to apply logic to
dip in there.
Logical.
But I think you can make something illogical. You can shift it to be logical with a few tweaks, essentially. Like if they made it. Because it's like they don't make it clear that like see, I think a good way to put it in Loki, because I did watch some of the first episode and didn't really care to finish the rest, but they're basically like, oh, they just all have wars with each other, and it's like, well, I think it'd make more sense like with Thanos, how he says that there's finite amount of resources. It's not infinite. It gets used up, and there's so many people dying. Like the universe is going to just be in constant wars itself and destroy itself. Like at some point, all life forms, or it's going to be difficult for life forms to exist because of our own ignorance right now. And as far as we can tell, most civilizations have gotten to where they can and explored and everything. And there's all these cycles of different deaths and annihilations, and so it's like, okay, we need to. So then the point would be, okay, if we can dip our toes into some other place and get other stuff, butt our heads in there, well, then that could make more sense. But like, it doesn't seem like we're at that point to do any of that. So.
Ricky, people who want power always want more. You can entice them with, hey, there's this universe, or you can conquer 20 universes. What do you think the madman who wants power is going to want to do? Conquer 20 universes.
Well, no, I agree, but it's like there still has to be a smart conqueror that wants to conquer that thinks they could conquer it for real would be smart about it. They wouldn't like, okay, I'm going to go conquer them with three.
I point you to Thanos.
Yeah, he gets the gems to like skip. Like he was doing it by hand for a long time, and that wouldn't be efficient to work in the long run. And so he wanted to skip to use the gems that could do it in a heartbeat, essentially. Yeah. If you can just infinity gem it.
Understand it. You just have to understand that they wanted to kill each other. Hutus and the Tutsis. I give you a perfect example. Why they want to kill each other? Because they're not the other person. Why do one universe take over another universe? Because it's another universe and they're not taking each other over. Welcome to welcome to logic not making much sense.
I know. I guess I'd be more satisfied if they were gonna go with these routes. If they did try to add a little bit of logic to it, just like just a little bit would be nice.
Sometimes storytelling has to take precedence over logic.
I don't know. I kind of see them as one and the same, in a way, storytelling and logic. And what I mean by logic is establishing some type of consistency in something. Like if it's just like I said, like, oh, I've got all this. And I want to get like if you're an empire with one battleship and you see there's all this other things that could be conquered, but you only have one battleship, you can't just go, well, I'm gonna get it all, because you would attempt it and fail.
Rookie, I point you back to Buckaroo Banzai. Show me some consistency in that movie.
I can't, because it's not there.
I rest my case. Sometimes it doesn't have to make sense.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, especially with some of the indie films, I would say. But I don't know, with ones like in the MCU, I would expect it to make a little more sense, personally, I suppose. But that's all good. Yeah, Buckaroo. Yeah, I don't have much more to say on Buckaroo. Buckaroo-ney-roo, to be honest.
Buckaroo Banzai definitely requires a gigantic suspension of disbelief. That's all I can say.
Yep. Which yeah, that's fine. Like, of course, with the ones like that, they'll be that way for show. Yeah, Mara Jade was gonna pop in. I think she's on her way home though. Now I don't know if we'll still be going when she's ready, because I don't know how much more I can specifically talk about with Buckaroo. But
let's talk about some other movies then.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I did watch other films, so we can talk about some of those if you want.
So I know you watched Falling Down. What else have you watched?
Yeah, Nicolas Cage's Pig. Have you heard of this?
I don't think I've ever seen or heard of that one.
It came out this year, 2021. It was the director's first movie ever, and Nicolas Cage is in it, and
I'll do any goddamn thing for money, Cage.
Yes, and it is a really good film.
Well, I may have to check it out.
It's not even like crazy. It's like measured good. Like, he is restrained. He's not he's like focused, intimidating, stoic. Like, it is good. It's sad.
Wow, Nicolas Cage doing something sad? That's crazy.
Yeah, and convincing. He's convincing in it. It's like, damn, this is really good. They make you think it's going to go one direction, like it's going to be a vengeance thing, but it isn't. That's all I'll say.
All right, hey, if you haven't checked out this movie yet, check out Pandorum.
Pandorum?
Yeah, has Dennis Quaid in it.
I don't remember who that is. I might have seen back when I first got Netflix. There's a lot of weird movies on Netflix. I don't know if that was one of them.
Just look up Pandorum. It will not go the way you think it does.
Because I might have seen that. Is that anything to do with like an alien planet or ship or something?
No. The basic plot is Earth is dying. They send people off into space to go find a planet that they think is Earth habitable, and it goes utterly sideways.
It sounds like the plot of Avatar.
It's not Avatar, not even close, because there's no aliens on the planet. It's more along the lines of, the best way I can explain it without giving away the movie, it's kind of Lost in Space meets Aliens, horror-wise.
Okay, yeah, I don't think I've seen this.
Well, check it out. It's worth it, and when you do, let me know, because we'll talk about it, because you'll have plenty to talk about with that movie. Even my wife watched it, and she can normally predict everything. By the time we got to the end of the movie, she's like, I did not see that coming at all.
Yeah, it does look interesting. Interesting concepts here.
Have you looked it up?
Yeah, I looked it up right now.
Yeah.
Looking at its images. It's freaky.
It's interesting.
Yeah, this weird baby-looking alien thing. What the fuck?
Yeah, Pandorum is one of those ones where you, by the time you get to the end of the movie, it's just like, okay, my mind has been thoroughly messed.
Yep, looks like that. Yep. Messed up Ethan's mind, too.
Oh, Ethan, my wife's in my wife's in the shower and wants in. He's being a little snot.
Oh yeah, mom, what? Hi, that type of thing.
Yeah, but no, another movie like. No, I'm not. Sue me. Sorry.
That's okay.
But no, I just actually rewatched for the first time in probably a decade Mask and Legend of Zorro.
Yep, I have seen Matt. Are you talking about are those both the Zorro films? Or are you talking about the Mask?
Both of the Antonio Banderas movies.
I'm sure I've seen them. They on the horse and the little fighting. Yeah, I swear I'm sure I've seen them. Just kind of blends in with some other movies, I guess, because Antonio Banderas and that setting.
If you want to turn off your brain and enjoy the sword swashbuckling set of movies, Zorro's your ticket.
Hell yeah. So I did see Citizen Kane for the first time.
Citizen Kane that's a very thick movie, and I haven't watched Citizen Kane in probably 15 years.
Yeah, that's what I keep on hearing from a lot of people. It's like referenced as like one of the best films ever, but
it's incredibly dense. It's like one of those movies that's just as dense as like The Shawshank Redemption or Schindler's List. It's up there with those kind of movies.
I mean, I don't know if I'd call it dense myself. I got what they're doing very, very well with it. It's like, this man, has all these things. He's got so much, but he just wants to go back to when, like before he got separated from his family, essentially, and that being represented by his sled, the Rosebud or whatever. And it's like, it's
just one of those movies that it has a very simple concept. It's just the drama and all the other stuff is just piled on to that very simple concept.
Exactly. And I think I was talking to Sci-Fi for me about that, about Citizen Kane after I watched it. And he was saying how many film achievements it did. Like it was the first of many film techniques and stuff. So
Citizen Kane was a pioneer.
So that's mostly why, and then there's like history with the director of it and the people that worked on it and everything. Like there's a lot there in that, and so it's usually referenced as a historical type of film here. So I could appreciate it.
Like Citizen Kane, I would definitely recommend Schindler's List, The Shawshank Redemption if you've never watched it.
Yeah, I've seen Shawshank. Yep.
Now you want to talk about a dense, thickly packed movie? Holy crap!
Yeah, speaking of crap, in Shawshank gets covered in crap.
Hey, he wanted freedom that bad. He was willing to crawl through 500 yards of crap.
Yes, but like with Citizen Kane, like I can recognize its film achievements, but honestly, I did not enjoy the film. Like I'm just like I never want to see it again. I am fine never seeing Citizen Kane ever again.
Okay.
Let's
talk about Falling Down.
Falling Down was pretty fun. Oh, hold on. We got Mara Jade in the back joining us right here. What's up, Mara?
Hey, thank you for inviting me. I'll join for a little bit.
That's good. Yeah, we're only going for a little bit longer anyway, so that is perfect. We pretty much talked about Buckaroo for a bit. There's honestly not too much that we had to say about it, but so I'm going on this little journey through watching some movies right now. I'm finally watching movies, Mara. Like this whole time, I just lazing around. Now I'm actually watching some, and a long time ago, Jeff here recommended Buckaroo, and then you also recommended it. So I'm like, okay, I'll give Buckaroo-y a go and see what it is. Extremely not like what I expected.
I told you it was an experience. There's no really good way to describe this movie.
Yeah, I was imagining Flash Gordon-y, like old-fashioned Lost in Space or something. It's like, no. And then Jeff Goldblum's in it and Christopher Lloyd's in it. And I'm like, why are they in this? Like, what? And then it's just like, oh, he doesn't feel like doing whatever his job was anymore, so he's just going to be a physicist now. And I'm like, what? Okay. And then he just is in a little go-kart and drives through a mountain and goes to the 8th dimension and then comes back with little life forms on him. And then has a press meeting with people, and then he gets a call from the aliens that pretend to be the president, and then he gets zapped, and then they go on a chasing aliens.
Then you can see like who's really an alien and who isn't, and then he has to figure out and like what's their purpose.
Like,
so
yeah, I feel like I missed so many details, but just like no, they're just not in there.
It's really basically it's become a cult classic. It's like I told you in my response is like you can't exactly discount the cult classics because like even though objectively they're really not that good of movies, they've become cult classics for a reason. And one of the reasons for this movie is just because it's so fucking weird and bizarre.
Yeah, that's pretty much how Wolf here has been describing it. It's like it's indescribably interesting. Like,
yeah, it's the only way we can.
This is the way I explained it. It was basically, let's take every piece of science fiction thing we can think of, throw it at the wall, and see what sticks.
Yeah, pretty much.
like
you have a physicist like by day, rock star by night. Finds a woman who's like eerily like the twin of his like dead girlfriend.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that's just they just let's see how far off the wall we can bounce here.
Yeah.
I almost forgot. That was actually a scene that I did like where he's doing the rock show and then he's everybody having fun and he's like, somebody crying? Like, you know, it's kind of like, no, of course not. And it's like, no, somebody is. And it's like, okay, well, that's like a nice little touching scene. Even though she tries to kill herself and gets arrested. Yeah. It's like, what the heck? That did not go where I thought it was going to go here.
And that's right. I think that's actually a Confucius saying that he says, right? It's like, no matter where you go, there you are. I think that's actually a Confucius saying. It sounds so weird, but I think it's an actual one. But I think the only really like trivia bit that I can remember off the top of my head right now with this movie is that the end credits where they're walking.
Yeah.
And they're walking in beat to the end title song or track.
Forgot about that.
It's actually Uptown Girl. They're walking
really?
They're walking to Uptown Girl because that Uptown Girl and the title track had the same beat.
That's funny.
Oh God. Oh,
that's funny.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I was just telling Rookie, like, you could see a lot of the influence on Buckaroo Banzai. Like, for example, Ready Player One.
Mm-hmm.
The main character to meet the girl for the dancing sequence at the floating bar was wearing a Buckaroo Banzai outfit.
Mm-hmm.
It
still has influence today. Like basically, it was a box office bomb, but it has just such a love right now amongst fans.
Like the way I've heard about it is like there'll be people that'll list like here's the best films you must see at some point. Citizen Kane, Casablanca, Godfather, something, Buckaroo Banzai, and like really quickly, and then next one, and it's like, well, wait, what was that one? What? Like it's in the lists, but it's like I don't think anybody like emphasizes Buckaroo Banzai, of course.
I try to tell people it's like classics, yeah, like you gotta watch the classics. That's like at least once in your life. Because I grew up with, I pretty much grew up with parents that introduced me to classic movies when I was a kid. So it's like I don't remember a day growing up where I wasn't watching some like movie from the 30s, 40s, and 50s. So I basically grew up on the golden age of Hollywood. But I also grew up on like the 70s and 80s beyond movies. And there's like some gems in there. Mm-hmm.
I was steeped in the 80s movies.
Yeah. And there's some gems in there that you can't discount, even. Like objectively, like I said, they're not that good, but subjectively, they're fun to watch. So
yeah. Just
like that's
go ahead. It's like Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man. It flopped so hard, but it's such a hysterical movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way I see it is like this is a good example of a film that the director wanted to make something crazy, and whether or not it's good, I mean, there's a lot of skill to be able to still make something like this in a way. I mean, it's not, I'd say like story wise, of course, it's not all that great, but it's like there's a weird, bizarre variety of characters, naming all the aliens, John Booty, Big Booty, and stuff. All these weird different last names. Like it's funny. They had a Jamaican alien. Like what?
It's basically shit that you would not be able to get away with today.
Yeah, that's what I said about 20 minutes ago. It's like this movie could not be made today.
No.
Yeah, well, I don't think studios would ever want to make anything like this, but I feel like a filmmaker that wanted to make something, that they could with whatever they had available, like could make something fun like this. And
yeah, they could. I'm just saying, like just like the whole with being steeped in socio-political agendas and identity politics within Hollywood nowadays. It's like you have the alien that's has a Jamaican accent. That would be that would not fly today. Peter Weller playing a half Japanese, half white main character. He's nowhere near half Japanese.
Yeah,
that would not be able to be made today. Just like little things like that in the movie that us normal people watching it don't care about. And we just laugh it off, it's funny, this movie's so bizarre, it's got my attention. But then you have these safe space, trigger warning, victim card carrying members of society would watch this movie and just read to the high heavens about the cultural appropriation of the Jamaican character or the half Japanese elements of the character. It's
and then you talk to the actual Jamaican character and they're dying laughing.
There's a little black kid
with a Jamaican accent.
There's a little black kid with a gun, and the guys and the older guy's like, you want $20 or something? Yeah. He's offering what he's got. I was like, this is a weird scene, but this is funny, sure. And it's they also go bizarre where with the girl, the aliens instead of just killing her or torturing her, really they just strap her down bizarrely in this weird contraption pool thing with a furry alien thing. That's either going to go up her cooch or her mouth, I don't know. But they get it in time to stop it. And I'm like, what was that? What was this?
It's kind of like how Austin Powers made fun of that stuff, where it's I have a gun in my room. I'll just go get it and shoot them.
No. Put your gun away. We got to get out the aqua tank with the electrical things and the straps and all these gizmos and gadgets and, set it up for half an hour and we'll leave them here. We won't even watch it. We'll leave. It's
assume everything went according to plan.
It's just and I was like, wait a second. Do these aliens, they're disguised as humans, but do they take over bodies of humans? Because I didn't.
They just basically, unless you. So the thing is that they don't really exactly explain it, but unless you had Buckaroo Banzai was zapped, so he was basically zapped with the ability to see through their disguise.
But it's was that on purpose that he got zapped?
Yeah, that was on purpose because they these aliens have blended into society, so normal people looking at them will just see other humans, and it's these are kind of the same species of alien, but they're different race, basically
different faction.
Different faction, reds and blacks, and they're the good aliens, and they know that these bad ones are trying to take over, or trying to get back and take over their world, and they need someone to be able to stop them.
Do you remember what the alien? You remember what the alien race is called?
Basically, yeah, but that's why they zapped Buckaroo Banzai. They're it's we're not exactly invading Earth to stop these, or this dimension to stop these aliens. We're gonna zap you, and you take care of it.
Yeah,
right.
Like I said, it's Buckaroo Banzai lives and dies by the rule of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you ever wanted a movie where it says, "Hey, explain the rule of cool," watch Buckaroo Banzai.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's I didn't pay attention to what year it came out of necessarily, but it's I can imagine a lot of it is flashy. This looks cool, he's boom, and then get those alien bastards, from trying to take over the world. Screw them,
Mm-hmm.
I could see that.
Yeah, this is 80s B tier sci-fi. Welcome to it.
Yeah,
because there are some. If you go digging for some of these 80s and early 90s B tier sci-fi movies, you'll find some interesting stuff. There's mecha stuff.
Robot Wars.
Robot Wars.
Robot Wars.
Yeah, that is a gem. That's by Blue Moon Studios, and it's a gem.
Or Mara J, have you ever watched Robot Jocks?
No, I haven't seen Robot Jocks.
Check that out. It was basically written by the same guy who wrote Mech Warrior, and you can definitely tell.
What year was Robot Wars?
Oh shoot, let me look that up. It's basically Blue Moon Studios, and they're have you heard of the Bloodstones movies?
Not specifically.
They're other cult classics. Basically, they're vampire films, but like they're kind of like they know the studio knows what it is pretty much. That's we are B tier level movies, and we've accepted that fate.
Yeah.
Was it last one you suggested? You said Bloodstone?
Okay, Robot Wars was 1993.
Okay. 1993. Okay.
Yeah.
But Mara, another one that I recommended for Rookie Critic was Pandorum, if you've ever seen it.
No. I'd have to look that up.
You have to check it out. It has Dennis Quaid. The best way I explain it to Rookie, it's Lost in Space, but with a lot more horror elements.
Okay, he says it's called Pandora?
Pandorum.
Pandorum, okay. Yeah.
It has Dennis Quaid.
That.
And I won't tell you it because it would completely ruin it, but let me say one other thing. My wife usually comes into a movie like, okay, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. She literally calls the movie in the first 15 minutes. We got to the end of this movie, and she was like, I can't believe that just happened. I did not see that coming. She was completely floored. Like, she was like, oh my God, that just happened.
Yeah, this is already quite the journey here. So like I've only watched like 5 films out of my list that for my vacation, and like everybody's just like, there's all these other ones still, and I'm like, oh my God, it's gonna take me years to get through all these films.
There's a lot of movies. If you want like another suggestion for a cult classic, and I'm not saying you have to like watch this in your 2-week vacation.
Sure.
But this is like another movie I recommended to someone else, and that's Space Hunter: Adventures in the Forbidden Zone.
Oh my God, I think I've heard of that movie.
Think of it as like, without just necessarily describing, well, the gist of the plot is basically this guy has to rescue these 3 girls who have crash landed on a planet, basically. But to describe the overall feel of the movie, think of it as like a weird love child between Star Wars in a way and Mad Max.
That is what this looks like.
Yeah, I think I've seen that movie, but it's been many a years since I've seen it.
Peter Strauss, Ernie Hudson, Michael Ironside plays a character called Overdog.
Yeah.
And Molly Ringwald. That's the core cast, and every other like character is like a secondary character or lower. But like those core are like basically the 4. And Peter Strauss is kind of like a Han Solo-ish type character, roguish, all out for himself kind of thing, and he takes on this job to go rescue these 3 women from this basically Mad Max fetal planet.
Yeah, I know what you're talking. Yeah. Oh, you want to hear another cult classic movie? And I'm sure Marjade's seen this one, Enemy Mine. I
love that. Another Dennis Quaid movie.
Dennis Quaid, Louis Gossett Jr.
Yeah, Louis Gossett Jr., Enemy Mine. Yeah, that is like, and who is it? Oh God, what's that actor's name? I can see him. He was in like a lot of 80s. Like I think he was in Blade Runner as well. Not Rutger Hauer, but the guy who worked with him.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that actor. He was in that movie too.
Yeah, I actually went back and rewatched Blade Runner, and then I realized, what's his name? Plays Adama in 2004 Battlestar Galactica. Mm-hmm. It never struck me that he was the cop working with Decker. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's what I love about going back and revisiting these classic movies is that you see these actors and you're like, hold on.
Or that's just like everybody talks about.
Movie, holy shit, that's where I remember you from.
Well, Jay, that's just like everybody talks about Giancarlo Esposito, how he's been really hot these last few years. It's like everybody talks about where they first met him, and I'm like, Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man, and they're like, what? It's like Jimmy. They go back and they're like, oh,
yeah,
no way.
Yeah, basically it's like these people are kind of like praising these actors, like he's been around, like you name like older movies, and like I've never heard of those. I'm like, well, yeah, they're called classics unless you stumble upon them accidentally or had a family member who introduced them to you. You're not really going to half the time, but you tell them like, hey, they've been around.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people these days don't like to look before they were born at stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah, like my first movie experience that I can truly remember, 5 years old, 1987. My dad sat down with a thing of Haagen-Dazs strawberry ice cream. We sat down and watched Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
Oh yeah,
nice.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
even at 5 years old, I didn't understand everything that I understand about the movie now, but it still held my interest. I mean, the music, you know, the suspense, the flashing phasers and all that. I mean, the Battle of Mutara and Nebula, I still consider one of the greatest battles ever put to screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still probably going to be a few years before I get into Star Trek or some of those, just because there's so much other stuff.
Yeah, I actually remember the first time I watched, I think, Star Trek, or one of the first times I watched Star Trek Wrath of Khan. It was my brother. So it had to have been, let's see. I think it's like not long after my sister was born. So I think it was only maybe about 9, 10 years old roughly, but probably around 9 years old. So I'm like 4.5 years older than my brother, and like sister's younger than us two, and then my other baby brother. But he came in, my brother. We watched African Queen first with Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn.
Oh, that's a classic.
And then we put on Wrath of Khan. And I remember it was that evening because my brother came in with a wad of paper shoved up his nose that he claimed flew up there because of the vent that he was tossing bits of paper down into. So we had to go to the hospital that evening.
Oh my god.
We were watching Wrath of Khan that night. I remember that.
That's funny. Yeah, so one of these days, I guess I'll do like a recommendation for some cult classics eventually, because that'll be fun.
Yeah, like
or
you will not be for
movie
one. Yeah, for like 70s, 80s, and 90s, you will not be one for any like cult classics.
Hey, Mara, let's see how good your cult classics go. You want to remember an old school movie with Mark Hamill in it, post Return of the Jedi? How about The Guyver?
The Guyver?
Yeah, The Guyver.
You know what? I think that was on TCM one time, and I caught a little bit of it. I didn't really watch it because it was like I turned it on after it started, but I think I know which movie you're talking about.
It's based on an anime and a manga, but they did 2 live action adaptations, and Mark Hamill's in the first one. And it's just like, whoa.
Yes.
That's funny. But yeah, so far I've watched Pig, starring Nicolas Cage, which I do recommend you check out, Mara. It's not his typical type of film. It is very stoic, I guess, to put it, and slow pace, but really good.
Okay.
Like surprisingly good. There's no action in it, and it's surprising with that, but it's actually really good. Then I saw Citizen Kane, and I was talking about that before you got on, and like I can appreciate all that it did for like film firsts and all that, but like I did not enjoy it at all. It was like I got the point of it and all too. It's just like, I don't know. Like I just couldn't enjoy it. Did you ever watch Citizen Kane?
Oh yeah, it's one of the first, not one of the first movies, but like I said, like I grew up with parents that would show me like classic films from like the 30s, 40s, and 50s, and basically beyond. And like what I appreciate of that movie, watching it is that Orson Welles was actually in his 20s when he did it.
Yep.
Oh, he was.
He was like actually.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, I talked about it with Sci-Fi for Me. He had all this information about Citizen Kane. Yeah, he was in his 20s, and it was that was before or after the War of the Worlds thing. I forget.
I think it was. Oh shit!
Because he mentioned that he had radio buddies and stuff, and that some of them that were in it were there, and that's why there's a lot of shadow silhouette type of stuff, because they're more voice centric than visual.
Mm-hmm. I part of me wants to say it was a little bit after, because it was considered like was it Orson Welles Theater? But I gotta look that up. But I know like what you're talking about, that radio broadcast that made basically cities panic, even though like because what happened. My dad told me what happened is that sometimes like the radio broadcast, like the previous program would end, and you'd start where the next radio program was like at, so you wouldn't miss the beginning if you were.
Yeah. He said the beginning is like, oh, this is just a fun little story, blah blah blah. We're gonna read it, but for those that don't hear that part, hear that part. And yeah, they're in the middle. Oh no! And in New Jersey, something's happening. Oh no, God! Blah, blah. And they're like, no, what?
Which again harkens back to Buckaroo Banzai, because they bring up that radio broadcast, and Jeff Goldblum was like, "Well, what if it wasn't a hoax?"
Yeah, they did bring that up. That was interesting there.
Yeah, what if these aliens we're fighting now, or what like that was actually happening? Like, what was that it was actually happening back then?
Oh God, there's this made for TV movie that was kind of like that. In fact, every time they went to commercial and they started coming back, they had to put the spoiler, the disclaimer of this is not real. Do not consider this real. This is just a movie. But they did it so realistic, like it's basically a case of aliens trying to make first contact with humanity, but we completely misread what they're trying to do. It's like they're trying to show us symbols and all that, like asteroids coming down in like a perfect geological triangle from where the asteroid breaks up to where it hits across the Earth. A couple of people start figuring it out, but at the end, we just completely missed the boat. In fact, the guy that John Delancey, he plays a reporter in the show. I mean, I can't remember the name of it, but it was just one of those things you're just watching it like, thank God this isn't real. My God, this is realistic.
Yeah, I suppose so. I have not seen that, but
well, not many people have. It's one of those things that look up.
That's interesting. That's a cool little bit of history back when people were like not as aware of the film lens, essentially, with stuff. That's interesting.
Now hold on, I'm looking up John Delancey and all his.
Yeah,
talk about an actor. That's a guy who's done some stuff.
Yeah, but like, so Citizen Kane, like I can appreciate its film qualities, but like I don't really want to watch it ever again. Wish that I liked it. I was gonna watch Casablanca next, but after watching Citizen Kane, I want to space out a little bit before I watch another real oldie, I suppose. And
I found it. If you ever want to check this out, it's called Without Warning.
Without Warning, my list is just getting ever bigger.
That's a show, you said? Or maybe
it's a made-for-TV movie.
Okay.
Without Warning.
Came out in 1994. It's called Without Warning. It's by Barry Steinbrenner.
Does it feature a dog?
Not really.
That's how it comes up when I type in Without Warning. It's just a dog going like, rah.
No, you have to look up Without Warning 1994.
Okay. There we go. Okay, much different. Yeah, more space looking.
Yeah.
With that, some alien.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a font of, just absolute, off the wall cult classic kind of stuff. I have seen some stuff.
I believe you. I believe you. But yeah,
this came on. I think it was on UPN network or something like that, or like ABC or NBC. And like I said, they had to put the disclaimer up first of this is not real. Please do not treat as real. This is just a TV show. That's how realistic they got.
No, to be back in the days of naivety. So wonderful. Have either of you guys seen Father Goose?
Nope.
No. Father Goose?
The rookie has seen films. You people haven't. It's a 60s film. It's really funny, actually. It's like it doesn't go the way you would at first think, but it's pretty good. It's like in World War II, this guy just wants to be left alone, but then he gets kind of tricked into being an island spotter, like on an island to like report activity of Japanese planes or boats and stuff.
Talking about.
And but then something interesting happens on the island that he's got to deal with, and it's hilarious.
Oh,
good old 60s one. That was actually pretty funny.
You guys know who Anthony Edwards is, right?
Yes.
Played Goose in Top Gun.
I haven't seen Top Gun.
A movie of him in between that and Revenge of the Nerds. It's called Gotcha. He's a college kid who gets kind of involved in a spy plot by just sheer dumb circumstance, and then he has to figure his way out of it.
Yeah, probably pretty cool. But yeah, so the rest of my list here, I'll put that up here so you guys can see what else I got to do here for
You got a
the
lot
next-
of movies to watch.
the next couple days? Well, I'm starting somewhere. So starting with 20. And I got
Blade
5.
Runner.
I've got 5 knocked out. So I've watched Falling Down, Citizen Kane, Pig, Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, because I actually haven't seen that one before. That one was interesting, with it a little different than how the show went. And what was the other one I watched? Buckaroo Banzai, of course. There we go.
Oh, Ford versus Ferrari. That's a great movie.
Mhm.
I mean, is it the best movie ever? No, but it's still a damn good one.
Kung Fu Hustle, that's an interesting movie.
That's more hysterical than interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like,
Blade
basically,
Runner,
like,
Rookie
like
Element-
at least, like, but when you get to the end fight, it's like, oh, okay, they're
Yeah.
going all out there.
yeah, but Rookie, all I'm going to say is with Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049, it's going to be a bendy, twisty movie.
Mhm.
That's so I hear. I mean, I've kind of wanted to avoid watching Blade Runner ever, just because of how it doesn't seem like I'll want to see it. But like, yeah, I'll do it. So I'll say I've done it.
Well, let's just say if you've heard of like Cyberpunk and all that, Blade Runner was kind of the grandfather of the dystopian cyberpunk style movie.
Mhm. Yeah.
I
Blade
mean, I
Runner
don't know
is-
if I've seen. I don't know if I've seen any cyberpunk specific. I mean, the closest is probably, unfortunately, like Wild West or something. Like I don't know what.
That's not cyberpunk.
Yeah, like basically just look up images of cyberpunk, like basically the environment and how people look, and then you'll get a feel for Blade Runner. So it's
Yeah.
very dystopian, but it's like kind of like a, I don't want to say steampunk, but like, you have the how the costumes are tailored and the whole.
Honestly, it-
Would
what
Alita be
what makes
kind of
it human?
cyberpunk?
Yeah,
Would Alita be cyberpunky?
kind of.
Yeah,
That's probably
kind
the
of.
close. That's probably the closest I've
Or
seen
like
to
its
cyberpunk.
element would definitely be almost considered cyberpunk.
Yeah. So, but like Blade Runner, like really deals with the whole like basically what makes someone a human.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
basically it gets like really trippy like that.
And let's just say the antagonist gives one of the best ending speeches ever given in a movie. And he did it almost completely ad lib.
Damn.
Yeah, Rutger Hauer. Yeah.
Rutger Hauer,
Mhm.
that was the speech of a career.
Hmm.
That's how good it was. People quote it to this day.
Damn. Damn.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
but like Rookie, have you seen Firefly?
Nathan Fillion.
Yeah, the TV show.
I probably saw some of the movie.
Okay, but you know the aesthetic of like the Japanese, the Chinese, and Western aesthetic, technology, but it looked really dystopian. They got that entire idea from Blade Runner.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
The Western
Makes sense.
aesthetic is just something Joss Whedon threw on top of it, which happened to work, crazy enough.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I need to get my butt rolling. I got things to do. Mara, it was great live streaming. Rookie, thanks for the invite. We must do again.
Hell yeah, brother.
And
Makes sense.
hope to stream with you guys more often because I miss it. Talk to you guys later.
Me too. See you later, man.
Right.
All right. How much longer do you have, Mara?
Well, I was going to say that I mean, for me, it's just because I'm tired because I've been up since. Like,
That's okay. I was gonna go for like another 5-10 minutes or something.
okay. I can be here for that you wrapping up and things like that. But yeah, I need to take a little bit of a nap because
I understand. Yes, this is just I've been streaming a whole bunch, and like I feel like this isn't a great strategy now because I'm getting a little movie fatigue, a little bit, like just sitting down and watching these, and then also streaming them, like talking about them after, and it's like,
yeah,
man, I don't know if I want to watch another one right away. Like,
oh,
I want to do stuff, not just watch stuff,
Oh yeah, like I said, it's like the movie I recommended to you, Space Hunter. It's like I don't expect you to watch it in the 2 weeks. It's one of those where it's like it's going to be down the road if you want to like just do a cult classic type theme of recommendations. But yeah, there's so many movies out there that I could recommend that I'm like, okay, just he has his list right now. He'll be lucky if he gets through it in 2 weeks. I'll just hold off on my the rest of my recommendations now, and just like wait until he wants some more later on.
That's a good idea. I will. So like that's the thing too, because there's such a long list of movies, but I think I like picking ones out that people recommend as well, because that way I can talk with more people about them than just having, here's my list and then just watch the things and just the classics. It's like, no, there's some modern ones, ones that just might not even be popular that people might know of, and I want to check those out too. Yeah. So I like the recommending idea, but I don't think I should ever do here's 20 to have me watch, because this is tough. Like, I think I could do five in like a week. I think would be a better goal.
Like maybe. See, the thing is, I don't know, like about a total, but like if you give like maybe a year or something, like like 19, let's say 1984, just for example, like 1984, or no, I'll give it better, 1985, basically. Like I want recommendations from that year, kind of thing. Right off the bat, it limits people. So
true.
It's not like you need to see this movie, you need to see this movie, you need to see this movie, kind of thing. They say, 1985, what movie came out then that I think you'll enjoy? Oh, Fright Night, the original Fright Night, you might enjoy that. So it's like it. Whereas like if you just want recommendations, people will be all over the place with them.
That's true, which I'm actually okay with in a way, because it allows like a different, like if I'm watching like when I watch Citizen Kane, I don't really want to watch like 5 1930s 40s films in a row.
Yeah.
Like I'm okay. Like I watched that one, and now I can watch a few different types of other films that are a little different. That way, there's some variety in between the watching sessions. Essentially, I do kind of like that.
Give like a genre. Like, hey, like I want like sci-fi recommendations.
Yeah, I might do something like that, because like when it gets to the cult classic ones, I do kind of want to sit down and watch the cult classics. I feel like those are fine to watch in a row, in a way, because they're all bizarre in their own way.
Yeah, they all have their own feel, and like I enjoy like Citizen Kane. I enjoy the classics, but some of them are like like one and done. I'm good for a while. I don't need to watch it immediately right afterwards. But with like say Space Hunter, I could watch it like immediately after again if I wanted to, if I was in the mood, because it just has that feel. Where it's you're entertained, like deep down the movie itself is not that good, but you're entertained as hell watching it.
Oh, of course, yeah. Those are the rewatchability is there.
Yeah, it doesn't really require any deep thinking on your part or any film analysis. It's like it's like this Citizen Kane is like just a series of bad decisions, and it's recapturing youth and things like that. Like I love the movie, but don't want to talk about that right now.
Yeah. That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
And then like I was gonna watch Casablanca right away after it, but I'm like 10 minutes in, and I'm like, I don't know, I just don't want to watch this right now either. Maybe it's fine to watch. I will finish it, but like it's too close to when I just watched Citizen Kane, and the fact that like I watched Pig before that with Nicolas Cage, and it was very like it caught me off guard, because I was expecting a wild adventure, and it was like pretty sad. Like, what is this? And it's Nick Cage, and he's like being stoic and like intimidating, but he's not being like, whoa, I'm crazy Nicolas Cage like you're used to. No, it's just like, this is like a calm Nick Cage, and it's like, that alone takes you off guard. It's like, Nick Cage is supposed to be a wild clown, and he's not. He's got some range. Like, damn. Yeah. And then Buffy was the last one I just watched. It's such a weird concept. I want to know what the thought process was to make that. Like, let's have a cheerleader, and let's have like vampires, and then like throughout the long time, there's new ones that are called chosen ones all the time, and there's like an old dude that like trains them, and then but now she's like a valley girl or something. She's like, oh my god, what's this stitch? And then she gets like super strong and can fight vampires now. And that's what they are. Just
like that's why I love movies like that, because I would just want to be a fly on the wall in that room where like they're coming up with the plot, and it's just like, it's like, what drugs are you on? Because somehow that works when I'm watching this movie.
It's weird, but I'm like, I am engaged. I'm like, this is dumb, but this is funny.
Yeah.
And it's like when the old guy is like, when the watcher is like watching her in the gym, she's like, hey, what do you, am I in trouble or something? Just like totally not that. She's a little creeped out, but not really. I'm like, oh my God, nowadays, like, dude, that'd be like, run out of there immediately.
Yeah.
Don't talk to him, run, essentially. And,
yeah, like a lot of these movies, like we said, like you just would not fly today for like just multiple reasons. But normal people watching them can actually see that they like there's nothing like really wrong with them. They're bizarre, but there's nothing really wrong with the situations. It's just but somehow, like I said, the plot works. The plot works. Somehow it's believable that Donald Sutherland is a watcher and he's training Kirsty Swanson's character, Buffy, to be a vampire slayer.
Yeah, I'm like,
how it works.
Yeah, I'm like, how's this old dude supposed to teach you how to fight, really?
Yes.
I don't know, but whatever. That's fine.
Yeah,
that one was fun. And yeah, that's why I like these mixes of these, because after watching some of these in that row, I think I watched Buckaroo Banzai, and then I watched Buffy afterward. And I was like, okay, this is a good change of pace here. It's as bizarre as Buffy is, I can follow it. You know, it's like they're everything that's happening is making sense, essentially. Enough for what it is, I guess.
Yeah,
it's making enough sense.
Yeah, like it makes sense. And like you know, like you're just real fast before you start wrapping up, like you were saying, like
Yep.
Jeff was saying, how like you know, like you know, actors you see like in recent movies, you go back and watch these older films and oh shit, he or she was in it. The principal plays. Do you ever see the movie Office Space?
Would you be surprised if I said no?
Actually, no, I wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, I put that in the future recommendations. But that actor is in Office Space, and he plays a completely different character. And like you watch those like two movies, and like holy shit, that's the same guy. Like watching movies.
Yeah, I do get that from some character or some actors. It's like, wow, you did this and that one? No way! Like no.
Yeah.
Those kind of actors are very fun to see what they do because you don't know what they'll do next. Like, what film can they do next?
Yeah,
that's a fun little thing. And real quick, right before we finish up here, this has been on my mind lately. It's like a thing, and I'm curious what people think. So, just because a film comes first, I think it doesn't mean that it's the best of its kind. Which a lot of people will usually say that like the classics are the best, and I agree that the majority of them probably are. Like in the grand scheme of films, like 90% of the first timers are probably better than like ones that come out now. Like, you know, Terminator, then look at it now, and you know, look at the sequels, and it's like, oh, okay, Terminator 1, great, you know, fantastic. So like Predator, Alien, same kind of thing, Jaws, and then you look at the stuff they make now, and it's like, oh god. But like, I will try to find a better example for this, but right now, this is the only one I got because I grew up with it. Is like Power Rangers. So like, people nowadays that ever watched Power Rangers will go, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was the best seasons. Like those are the best ones because there's like over 20 seasons of Power Rangers, and they're like, you know, that's the best one. And it's like, why? Well, it's the first and it has Tommy and blah blah blah. And it's like, I've watched some of the other ones, and Mighty Morphin is not even top 10. And as far as like quality, there's other ones where they like have death and like challenges. They're still corny. The corny factor is part of the whole thing, but like they improve a lot of storytelling ways. They have villains go through like traumatic character arcs, like going through stuff and becoming good throughout some stuff. Best where Mighty Morphin is just la-di-da teenagers, just no martial arts, and the villain throws a monster at them every week and repeat. That is all that is. So just because it was first doesn't mean it does it best. If the other stuff wouldn't have.
I'll agree with that to an extent because a lot of like what these people ignore whenever they're like saying like, you know, because it's first, is because they're ignoring the nostalgia factor to it.
Yes. and I mean, being first is good because you establish the first step, but that doesn't mean it is the best step. It can improve, and I think that in Power Rangers they do improve. I mean, there's some bad seasons, sure, but even those I'd say are at least on the same level, if not above, Mighty Morphin still. Like it's like I don't know. I'll have to think of other films to use as a better example than Power Rangers.
I'm trying to think. Like I'd have to go back on basically like, you know, my film knowledge, for want of a better way of putting it, because like I said, My parents, I've seen pretty much films from every decade.
Yeah, and what I'm referring to is it doesn't have to directly be a sequel, but it could be something of of a similar genre,
or like a remake. Like I was thinking, like
yes,
right off the bat, I was thinking of Ben-Hur, because there was like most people you say Ben-Hur will know the Charlton Heston one, but there was actually a silent Ben-Hur from the 1920s, which arguably is a classic, but I think the Charlton Heston one is a bit better than the first one that came out.
Right, or like The Thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, wasn't there like a very long time ago The Thing, and then John Carpenter?
1951. It was called The Thing from Another World, which was very, very, very loosely based on the novella. The John Carpenter one is actually closer to the novella, which actually what people prefer because of that fact. Now, I like both. I enjoy both for different reasons because I saw the 1951 version first, and there's like some like elements in there that I do very much enjoy. And but then I also like the John Carpenter version because of the performances given by the actors and how contained it was. The only thing I don't like, and I tell people this, I'm just bizarre this way. I'm just very bizarre this way. I'm like my mom, but I'm like, I did not like the scene where what happens with the dogs in both instances. And like I'm
Right.
just I'm like that with like my mom. I'm like, did I need to see it? No, I didn't need to see it. To me, that's kind of gratuitous violence there. I did not need to see that to get the gist that this creature is going to be bad, sort of situation.
Yeah.
But that's like a nitpick on my part, just based on my personality. But the rest of the movie is phenomenal.
Yeah, well, it's the kind of thing where if they just didn't show it, but they had the sounds or cut away and a lot of implication, that could have been effective too. But
yeah,
you know, and I think it would still be held as being really well done regardless. But I think it gets a bonus on the effects factor for that. I suppose.
Like I said, you know, that's why most people prefer it. You know, with the effects, the performances, and just the simple fact it's closer to the book itself than the 1951 version by well, it's produced by Howard Hawks, but people believe that he actually directed it and just like didn't put his name down as a director. But yeah, so like I said, I enjoy both for different reasons, and like you know, like but the original, again, I'm also factoring in the nostalgia because I saw it first. I was a kid when I saw it and things like that. So and people tend to discount that whenever they give that reason for the first being the best. You know, like remove the rose-colored glasses. Is it actually best, or you just say it's the best because that's the first thing you saw?
Yeah, and it's like I don't ever want to be coming from the 1990s. That's when I was born, and where I am now. It's like it's very easy for people to assume, oh, you don't know the classic stuff that was so good, and it's like, well, I understand that, and it's like I understand that when I was younger, I thought things were really great too, but like I'm trying my very best to like really look at things as not just because it was at this certain time or whatever as well. Like, especially if we're trying to find the timeless things, I don't know. It takes like being first along, like film's only been around for a little over 100 years, right? Like it's barely, I don't know. I feel like when it was doing firsts, in a way, it's easy to have it be the first. And then, but nowadays, because film has been perfected in so many ways, it is more difficult to do something similar and stand out, I think. So if something now can really appeal or achieve some of these things with all these different things, I feel like that's a good achievement in a way, because because it's tougher to do it, because you can't have it be the benefit of being the first. Everything's already been done, but if it can still come out on top in some way, then I think that's an achievement in its own as well.
Yeah, and I'll say two things to that. Like one, like if like technically on a technicality, if we were going to talk like first, books came first. You can't say like movies did it first, because they're basically taking plots.
Yeah, most things are from books and plays, which I'm learning more and more now. Like even Jumanji was based on a book. I'm like, how was that a book?
So basically, the book did it. Basically, the book did it first. If we're going with that logic from people, I'm like, then don't just completely discount the movies. Books were here first. Storytelling was here first, like through word of mouth.
Yes.
But also I would say that it's like, again, just from my personal experience, and people automatically assuming the golden age of Hollywood, like everything must be a classic. Then I'm like, well, no, not everything was a classic. 'Cause I've seen some duds from the 30s, 40s, and 50s. So just because it was made in those decades and that's considered the golden age does not mean that every movie that came out then was or is a classic.
Yeah, which is something.
I'm like that movie's not that good. And but it's from the 30s. I'm like, no, it's not that good.
Yeah, thank you. Because a lot of people will. I don't know if they know how to critique an older film. Like they'll go, but it was when there wasn't all this other stuff, and it's like, no, I know, but if that's the case, knowing that, how do you say one was good or bad? And I mean, a thing to consider is that it was from a different time with a different purpose of how they made films. It was like a quick, let's just put something for them to watch. The story, plot, and critiques, I don't think were that considered at the time, right? It was just more, we have to entertain. It's easy to entertain people now, so let's just do this. Like, I assume.
Yeah, there was I can't remember what this movie is, and you've been wanting to wrap up for the past 10 minutes.
But, that's okay. This has been happening when we're talking. Each of these streams I've done has ended up being a longer discussion with something, so that's okay.
There was essentially a remake of Citizen Kane, or at least a plot in this similar sense, where they're trying to piece together this man's life, and it starred Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. And for the life of me, I can't remember what the movie is called. But at the same time, it's again. From the golden age of Hollywood, it stars two stars that basically are essentially powerhouses in the classical age of Hollywood, Tracy and Hepburn. But I watched part of that movie and I'm like, this is actually not that good. Why are people recommending this movie to me? It's I don't care. You don't really care about the characters. So again, it goes back to just because a movie came out in a certain decade doesn't automatically mean it's good, but it also doesn't automatically mean just because I could say it's one of those B-level film noir type movies doesn't automatically mean it's bad either, because some of those movies are better than some of the classics I've seen, or at least enjoyable to a sense where I'm like, why are people panning this? This is actually a decent film.
Yeah, right now, the most current example I could use is the Suicide Squad that came out, because to me that's a perfect 5 out of 10. There is equally good and bad stuff in this. For something good, there's something horrible. It's
we agree there. I gave it a 5 out of 10 in my review, pretty much. So
exactly. I mean, the whole scene where they are going through the rebel camp and fighting, all that was a fun scene to watch. It was funny, but it's also really dumb because it's almost like a video game where the enemy is just off of camera. I don't know. It's you probably would have been seen, but we're gonna pretend that doesn't happen for the laugh, I guess, over here. But yeah. And I can just go into so much with this stuff. Honestly, Ghostbusters is one that I don't necessarily see why that's so touted as being one of the greats ever. I'm just
it's more dialogue, quotable dialogue. You basically, if you boil down Ghostbusters to the basic premise, it is basic. But
people usually go.
A lot of it is in the performances, and the dialogue, and a lot of it was fixed because of Harold Ramis. So
yeah, people usually, whenever I ask them, "What'd you like about Ghostbusters?" they go, "The cast, amazing." I'm like, I don't care about the cast. They could be the best cast in the world and be in the worst movie ever. That doesn't mean anything to me. I have no attachment to them.
For me, it's the dialogue. For me, it's it's the cat. It does boil down to the cast, but it also boils down to the chemistry between the actor.
Yeah. See, and I would say that the way that they do some humor in it is good, but I don't think that most of what they say is very funny. I understand, they present.
I totally get it. I mean, I love the movie, but I'm not expecting everybody to enjoy movies that I enjoy myself, pretty much.
Yeah, it's just one that people would put as it's objectively fantastic, but I'm but it's not really provably I don't know. It's just one that, I could see some tweaks that could make it better a little bit, but whatever. It's don't want to step on the nostalgia toes on that one.
Man, I've watched a lot, and I'm pretty sure that there are movies that I love. The people are going to be looking at me going, think something's wrong with me if I come out and say oh, I actually enjoy these movies. So I don't care if people don't like the same things I do. If I
of course
I stream, you can see the posters in the background, and one of them is Ghostbusters, and that also, like I said, is nostalgia and the chemistry between the cast and the humor. I like the humor, but I've always liked dry type humor. So if that's not your style of humor, then yeah, you're not exactly going to like the humor in Ghostbusters, because it's not exactly slapstick that I would call. It's more kind of like akin to Monty Python in a way, where it's.
Well, that's an interesting comparison, because like I do enjoy Monty Python, but I don't know how I would rate it in a scale of something. I don't know what if I'd say it is a good movie or if I enjoyed it, because it's weird. Like I don't know what to put. Is it a good film, or is it like, do I just enjoy it and it's a bad film? Like I don't know.
It could be exactly that, the second one, because like I was talking with a couple of my friends, like a couple guys I know, like friends. When we were, I think it was when we were streaming Bad for Blood or something like that, or maybe we were talking about it offline. But I said, it's like I'm like, or no, they were streaming Resident Evil 6, and I was like talking in the chat, and I said, to be fair, like a movie can be objectively bad and still be enjoyable. It's when people can't admit that is when we start facing, like, I guess, issues.
Yeah, it gets difficult. It gets difficult to have conversation because it's like, but we're trying to like, it's easy to set a standard and then keep that across the board. Essentially, it's to try to figure it out. Like a good obvious one is like Batman and Robin. Mm-hmm. EFAP crew, Mahler and them will reference that as like they love that film. It is garbage. They will say it is a horrible film, but gosh, they love it, and they, are glad that it exists. They love watching it. Yeah. It's a fun film and everything. It's like, that's a great example there. Or like they love the prequels, but they'll say it's objectively bad. Though I feel like some films can come under the idea of like it takes a lot of discussion to figure out, are they really? Is it really a flaw here, or something different? Different pieces of information will help, piece out the things about it. Some things aren't as definitive as others, I would say, but the discussion is what is fun too with film in general.
And that's where like boils down with film, is that it's like sometimes it's not as easy. It's not black and white, because you do have to take in a lot of factors to certain films. And then, like, once you like boil those factors down, can you honestly say it's an objectively good film? And more often, well, not more often than not, but like most times, you look at it and go, objectively, it really is not that good of a film. Like say like Gremlins, for example. I love the hell out of that film. It's a good film, but it's not exactly great. It's a good film. I love the hell out of that the 1984 Gremlins. But if you think about it, the rules don't make sense, or at least the third rule doesn't make sense. Okay, fine. Keep it out silent. Okay, that makes sense. Don't let it get wet. Okay, that makes sense. Don't feed it after midnight. Wait a minute.
How does it have a concept of time? Its biology is linked to time. What if you're in a different time zone? Is it 9 o'clock then? Or
yeah, but like any time after midnight is after midnight. So it's like, can you feed them ever? So it's like the rule does not make any sense.
Yes, and that's a good movie. Yeah. That's a good example, and that whole thing that you're saying, like a lot of people would ask then, well, then what's the point of like, how do you? No film is perfect, and then whatever is this. I think the point is it is to just figure out which ones do things better or worse, so that you can have some type of quality scale. Like Lord of the Rings, typically does most things really well, and even if it's not 100% the perfect film, it's better to strive for that than say The Last Jedi or something. Like it's better to strive for it's a measuring thing. Like, and when you can see how many things are bad with one film, and then you look at another film and try to apply these same type of critiques, and there's less flaws with them, well, then that's good. You're able to see something else, or be able to appreciate something, even if a film is bad. If you can find things in it that are good, like The Suicide Squad, Rick Flag and the Peacemaker's morals when they fight each other are really similar, but they're different too. Like the Peacemaker would kill any man, woman, or child to protect America, to do that, but Flag would destroy America to protect the man, woman, and child that guy would kill, essentially. And they're battling for their thing, and it makes sense. It's like, that's a good piece out of a weird film. Yeah. Essentially. Good thing out of there. But yeah, I think we will wrap it up now with
Yeah.
it. Tim says, yeah, I think it's a preference thing. Indiana Jones, I went back and watched it, and I don't think it's great, but I do enjoy Blade Runner. Yeah, exactly.
It's all subjective. It's and like I said, I don't care if people enjoy the same films I do, and I don't expect people to enjoy the same, hate the same films I do, pretty much, because I'm pretty sure there are films that I don't like that other people love, and I'm perfectly fine with that. So, because it's at the end of the day, I'm still going to be able to sleep at night, knowing that someone hates a movie that I love. It's not going to personally affect me.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like that makes fun conversations. Black Angus and I have there's a lot of films that we love and a lot that we completely disagree on, and we end up having a lot more arguments because of that. But we're both trying to present our points and everything, and it makes for great conversation. Rather than it's just I like this, oh you don't like that, well okay bye. It's like that kind of sucks.
Oh, I mean, like Minority Home and I, the last 2 movies that we've watched and reviewed for our Saturday stream was Mortal Kombat, the 2021 Mortal Kombat movie, and Suicide Squad, and she enjoyed both of those, and I was like, both of those suck. It's like, yeah, it happens. I mean, we agreed on Wonder Woman 84, but we disagreed on these two. And I'm like these movies are subpar to me. Mortal Kombat I think pissed me off more than Suicide Squad, but again, both were subpar, and she enjoyed both. I'm like, hey, and we're still friends. It happens, people.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, for most people that aren't super into films like as we are, is like they'll just say, I liked a movie or I didn't, and it's hard for them to explain why because they don't really look in depth into it, but they don't want to either. So it's like, okay, all right, that's all you got then. But if you wanted to look into it, let's ask these questions and see what you can get.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yep. So with that, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mara Jade. Thank you, Jeff the Iron Wolf, for coming on, talking a little bit of Buckaroo Banzai, and then into other film conversations. That's pretty much what these are now. It's like 10% is talking about the film that the stream is for, but then we're talking about all these other things, and those are the more interesting conversations, I'd say, so far out of these. But yeah, I don't know what my next film will be to watch on that list, guys. It might be Arrival, it might be Kung Fu Hustle, or They Live. That They Live has been recommended the most. That's been recommended the most out of any film, I think, for me to watch. So I
believe it only because of the time we're living in now. And when you watch the movie, you'll get why. So
well, that one and Idiocracy, which I did watch Idiocracy a while back.
Oh yeah, that definitely is we are living in now. But you watch They Live, and you'll understand why people recommend it. Like a lot of people recommending it now. So
yes. I agree. I'll probably watch that next then because so recommended. But thank you, everybody. We'll see you around and have a good one.